Okay, so let's start the session today on safety and security aspect of lithium-ion battery pack. And as we know that lithium-ion is gaining momentum, specifically in case of an Indian scenario, it is the electric mobility app is that is the reason behind the momentum of the lithium-ion battery packs. But not only the uh, electric mobility domain, but also your storage, the solar, the secondary application domains, the portable applications domain, and the growth of IoT is the driving factor for the lithium. Today we are going to talk about the, as it is the beginners, many of you are beginner. So today we are going to first talk about the basics of the lithium ion. Thereafter, I will be taking you to the safety aspects of the lithium ion, and then it is the most of the common word that you are hearing of. It is the thermal runaway. So what this thermal runaway is, and how it causes the failure of your battery packs, and how we can prevent the thermal runaway process so that the failure things could be mitigated and prevention could be taken even if it has started. Thereafter, there are the certain of ratings those are there, means you can say it as the standards for the preventions of the fire, and the safety prevention standards are there. So that's what we will be talking. And then a very important thing that related to the battery security. So right now we are generally we are seeing the batteries which is used all alone, means it is your scooter, or it is your storage application, or it is your solar application, maybe in your home, it is your inverter in your home where you are using the lithium ion battery pack. So we are just looking at the safety aspect of it. But now the age is coming off where the connected vehicles are there. The battery packs are always connected. The IoT enabled BMS is there. And once the term IoT comes into the picture, so the security becomes a very of a important factor. And that means that through the network attacks, your battery could be compromised. Network attacks, the BMS could be taken into control, and that can be compromised for generating the fire in your battery packs. So that's the thing is coming up. We are in the age where we are using the connected BMS. The BMS is getting used as the data parameters, and it is always connected through the means of internet. So to prevent the such kind of a scenarios, so to prevent the such kind of a scenarios, we need the security for our BMS and the battery pack. So what are the solutions we should incorporate now for the BMS and the for such kind of a connected battery pack? That's what also will be our thing of a discussion. So together it will be the safety and the security aspect. And then we will be having the question answer session. So just starting with the very basics of it. So as you know that is the metal, the one there is a lithium metal, lithium ion, lithium metal batteries that we have since a very long period of a time. It's what you are using as a one-time usable batteries in many of your motherboard applications, or and many of your watch applications, or electronics device power sources. The 3-volt batteries or 1.2-volt batteries, those are getting used. But lithium ion is something new, where the lithium is getting segregated just after the electrochemical reaction of this lithium cobalt oxide is once this lithium cobalt oxide is come in the contact of these graphite materials, the anode material, that is the cobalt oxide and lithium as an ion, it's segregated. So the lithium ion that is getting segregated during the reaction, and lithium as a metal doesn't take part into the reaction. That's what the best thing with the lithium is, that the lithium as a metal itself is not taking part. The ions are segregated, and these ions are changing the polarity of the electrode. So this is your maybe cathode, this is your anode. So these ions are changing from one direction to the another during the charging and the discharging process. And if the lithium is not present, so it is not degraded also. If the metal is present, that could degrade during the charging and discharging, but these are the ions which is getting segregated, and that's why it is not degraded. And as much as the volatility of the ions are, the higher the segregation of these ions are on the electrodes, the more of a potential energy that we are able to generate. And that's where this capacity terms relates to. But the volatility of the ions also relates to the safety aspect of your lithium ion cells, because that thing can lead to the temperature increase, or if there are the aging of the cells are happening, so there is a disturbance in the flow of the ions are, and that could lead to the a breakage of the safety matters of your lithium ion cell. So that's why the as good these ions are, so similarly they could be the disastrous for us also. And the one very important thing into this is that the electrolyte is used inside this lithium ion cells, which is a non-aqueous solution of a lithium salt. So this electrolyte always is a very a kind of a thing which can lead to the disastrous conditions, that normally it remains into the liquid format. And once this thermal runaway, once the temperature due to any of the region within the cell starts increasing, so that will go in a vapor state, the gaseous state it will start. And this gaseous state transfer leads to further the smoke and the fire within the cell. So that's what the electrolytes are generally working as your conducting materials, but it itself doesn't take part into the reaction. And the lithium as a metal is not getting used inside the cell. So the physical properties of your cell remains intact, and a higher of a life cycle that we get inside through the lithium ion cells. So that's what is the differentiating factor compared to any other battery chemistry from the lithium. So we know that from the previous of the slide that there are the cathodes and anodes are there inside the lithium ion cell, and the electrolyte material that we have. So what is the trend is there? Because many of the times you will be hearing that which one cell should I use for my battery pack? So trend, the lithium ion itself has the multiple of the chemistries, and for the different of applications, the different of the chemistries are getting used, and all of these chemistries has the separate of safety aspects and the performance aspect. So just starting from the time again when the EV has came into the picture, or you say that the lithium ion has started getting used in the mobility applications or in the storage applications in 2016-17, that time it started. And since then it is the NMC or LFP, the nickel, manganese, cobalt, that's the cathode, is getting used. Or here there was a lot of talk that cobalt is a toxic material, it should be avoided in the lithium ion cells. So people have shifted towards the LFP cells also, the lithium ferrophosphate cells, where the iron are getting used. So either the NMC or LFP chemistry you can see as of now most of the applications getting used. And majority you will see all around you in case of an Indian context, which is the LFP cell you will find for the bigger battery packs for the EV also, and in the solar or storage applications. The anode material is the graphite generally been used, and electrolyte is the lithium salt, that is LP30. The trend is now that the LFP is having certain of performance issues due to the nature of its chemicals inside it, the chemical reactions. It can't hold the higher of a energy, so less of a specific energy it has. The power we can get higher, but energy remains lesser in case of a LFP. And there is a very small of a research is going on in the LFP chemistry. So trend is now that it will be shuttled towards the NMC or a NCA. If you will ask me towards the safety aspect, so LFP is more safer chemistry related to the temperature conditions compared to the NMC. So many of the analogy you will see here that LFP should be used in the Indian environment compared to the NMC. But apart from that, those hazardous conditions or the conditions of the temperature could be worked on. But even with the NMC, because if we are using the LFP and we are not getting that much amount of energy, so then there is no use of using it. So that's why the research is more towards the NMC or NCA chemistry now. And you will see swiftly the industry shifting towards the NMC or NCA chemistry. NCAs are getting used in most of the vehicles nowadays. NMC has also picked up very fast. And there is a work is going on to improve the voltage up to 4 volt. Right now, the voltage that we are getting on around 3.67 to 3.70 volts through the NMC chemistry. And there is also work going on towards the shifting of the anodes from the graphite to the silicon. And almost this work has been proven in the lab, and you will see in next 4 or 5 years, the productions going on of the silicon anodes, where the voltage could rise, the potential difference could rise up to 5 volts. So less number of cells that we will have to use in the lithium ion battery packs. So this is how the trends are going on from the anode side. And what is the most researched area in the most researched and the rapidly evolving area in the lithium ion is about the cell chemistry and the thermal management, because cell chemistry relates to the capacity enhancements and more energy that could be stored within the smaller of the cell, and the thermal management is required for the safety aspects of the cell. There are the vendors available from the international vendors to right now. The situation is that we have to import the cells either from the China or Korea or Taiwan, these places. There are the well-known players, and the Chinese players are also there. It is hoped that that by next year we will have our own productions going on. This would be started this year, but it is getting delayed for the productions. But so by next year we should have the cells in market, which is Indian manufactured. So this is how the trends are going on in the lithium ion domain. And as we see related to the packaging, so you will have available the packages of the cell in these 3 formats, the cylindrical cells and the prismatic cells. So cylindrical and prismatic, both are having the metal cans. The cans of these cells are of a metal, so it can withstand to higher of a temperature, whereas the pouch cells are having the polyvinyl material as the casing of it. So temperature, it can withstand lower, and the factor related once the thermal runaway process starts. So the higher of the temperatures, these prismatic and cylindrical higher cell surface temperatures, the prismatic and cylindrical cells can handle, but pouch cells can't be handling such kind of scenarios. And recently, you must have heard of the General Motors has to recall lots of vehicles due to the failure of their battery packs. Even in the parking slots, the General Motor vehicles were catching fire. LG cam cell were used in those General Motor vehicles, and those were the pouch cells actually. So the pouch cells was there was certain of a manufacturing defect in those pouch cells, and certainly the temperature was rising in the battery pack, and the pouch cells were not being able to hold the against of that temperature. So that's what the major failure case for the General Motor Bolt chubby bolt vehicle. So that's what you can see. Mostly you will see for the mobility applications, we have the cylindrical and the prismatic cells. So why I'm discussing this, that for a particular of applications, you have to see that which form factor of the cell you should be using for your battery pack, because every form factor has a different of a capacity, and the temperature with hand capacity, and the safety precautions that needs to be taken for it. So that's what also a very important factor for when you are selecting the packages for any of the cell. So any of the package, it will have, we are having the electrodes, the positive electrodes, the negative electrodes, and the separator material inside of it. And in case of the cylindrical cells, it is in a jelly roll structure, In case of a prismatic cell, again, it is in a jelly roll structure, but in a flat jelly roll. Whereas in case of a pouch cells, it is the stacking of the electrodes are being done. So it is not a roll is not prepared, but a stacking of the electrodes are being done. And in case of the cylindrical cells, you can see that there is a no room is left. Means once the roll is prepared, so it is getting filled inside the can. The roll is prepared and getting filled inside the can, and there is a no even no small room is left compared to the prismatic cells, where on the corners we have the small amount of a room is left. So this is actually reducing the specific energy capacity of the prismatic cells compared to the cylindrical. But yes, this is the packaging, and the higher of the capacities that we can store within the prismatic cells, and cylindrical cells are capable of the handling of a lesser capacities. Like for example, prismatic cells, you can see the cells are of 100 Ah of a capacity or a 120 Ah of a capacities. Whereas in case of the cylindrical cells, you will find it 6 Ah, 8 Ah of a capacities of a cell. The pouch cells also we can have higher Ah of a capacity, 60, 70, 80 Ah of a capacities. But what happens that this is a polyvinyl casing that it has. And there is a, once the pouch cells are getting charged, so there is a certain kind of a swelling that occurs within the cell due to the gases formation. And that due to that swelling, the cell bulging happens, and you have to leave certain of a space in your battery pack so that the cell, if the cell gets burst, if cell gets swollen, so the space could be managed. So the specific energy capacity of the pouch cell battery packs could also be lower compared to the cylindrical cells. So these are the different of packagings we have. And in any of the case, we will have the electrodes, and the volatility of the ions are there between these two electrodes, between the positive to negative electrodes. The separators are put within it so that the fusing of the electrodes should not fuse together. But what happens that all these are suspended inside an electrolyte material. So you have a can inside this electrolyte material, it is suspended. This electrolyte material is not taking part into the reaction, but once the cell internal temperature starts rising, it will start going into a vapor stage. And this vaporization can further increase the temperature within the cell. And if your separator material is get torn, that thing has happened in the pouch cell case of the LG Chem, which I had just taken the example for the General Motors. So what has happened inside that pouch cell of the LG Chem was that these electrodes, so these electrodes are connected through the terminals. There are the current collectors are there on both of the side of these electrodes, and they are connected through the terminals of the cell through which your terminals are connected to the outside world. So this metal part, which was connecting the terminal of the cell to the electrode, was in some of the cell, it was loosely connected. And that loose connection had actually torn the separator material between these electrodes. And once this tearing of the separator material has happened between the electrodes, so electrodes got fused together, and then the internal short circuit process has led to the fiery conditions of these LG Chem cells. So same thing could happen to any of the cell if it is internal manufacturing defect it has, or by any of the regions due to the manufacturing defect or due to your unsafe operations. If the separator material is get torn, or even if a leakage has happened, so electrodes can fuse together, and that will lead to the fiery conditions of the cell. So as I have saying you that these are the electrodes. So yes, here it is a little more representation that we have. So we have the cathodes and the anodes. Cathodes, the lithium cobalt oxide or something like this. Anode is used as the graphite that we have. And with the anode and the cathode, we have the current collectors connected. So because these are the chemical compounds, they will be there in a slurry powder format. it has to be accumulated on something so that the ions could be segregated on any of the current collector. So from the anode side, the copper is used as a current collector, whereas from the cathode side, the aluminum is used as a current collector. Whenever the charging and discharging process happens, so these ions, you can see here, the lithium is the ion that is moving from one side to another. And the electrons are moving in the opposite of it. The electrolyte material is there, in which all of these are suspended, and separator material, this is again of a polyvinyl material, so that is there within the between these of the cathodes and the anodes, and not taking part into the reaction. So if you want to see the video, so how this is there, so I just start it. So a jelly roll, you can see the terminals are here. So you can see that this jelly roll has been opened, and these are the current collectors on which these electrodes. So, and this is the anode on a copper. And the white material that you can see is the separator material you have. The white layer is the separator material. So this is a long roll on the manufacturing. There is a long roll that is, and it is cut as per the size of the cells. So this is a one side of a current collector, and then we will have the another side also. The you can see here, this is the side. So this is the another side of the electrode, and in between we have this separator material. So this is a jelly roll kind of a structure that is suspended inside the electrode in the cell, and if that separator material gets stored, that can cause the blunders to my cell. So even if all these things are there, but still you can see that in a very small of a shape and a size, just in a 18 mm diameter and a 65 mm of a height, we can store of around at 6 Ah of energy. So that's why the lithium is remain a choice for majority of applications compared to the other battery chemistries, because in a very small of a volume and in very small of a mass, we can store the lots of practical energy. So which is there for the lithium ions. And again, new chemistries are coming up, like zinc air or lithium air batteries are coming up, which will be again having the more storage facilities compared to the current NMC or NCA battery packs. So that's why it remains a choice for majority of applications. And if it is related to the specific energy and the specific power, so what do we require from the cells are the energy and the powers. Like for many of applications, you require the higher amount of a current. So there you require the power cells. So on both of the parameters, the lithium ion are satisfying, and that's why it is a choice for majority of applications. It remains. Cost is little higher as of now, but yes, it is with the new of the technologies and with the new of the chemistries getting into the picture. So cost is also getting down, and it will become slightly comparable to the other chemistries. Still, it is comparable if you compare it with based on the life and the uses of the applications. It is still comparable to the other chemistries. So as I was saying, that lithium again has the many of the chemistries that is used as a cathode, like NMC. That's what we are using in many of our applications. The NMC, that is a very common. NCA is getting used in the applications like for four-wheeler battery pack applications. Tesla is using like NCA battery packs. Thereafter, we have the LMO and LTO as the cathode. LFP is commonly getting used in the two-wheeler, three-wheeler battery packs. So these are the different of the chemistries which is getting used. And as per their chemistry specifications and the structure of the lattice of the internal structure of the lattice of the lithiums, the lithium ions, the energy storage capacity, the specific of the energy capacity, the power capacity, and the lifespan is varying for all of these chemistries. Like for an example, the LFP chemistry and the NMC chemistry, which is a very good competitor to each other, the energy we can store higher in the lithium ion chemistry compared to the LFP, the higher the discharge rate that it has. Whereas if the power is concerned, so higher of a specific power that we can take from the LFP chemistry compared to the NMC. So, and at the safety aspects, the LFP is at a safer of operations. It just leaks out because less of a specific energy it has, and the oxidation doesn't happen. So that's why it is a safe chemistry compared to the NMC. The if I just compare the NCA and NMC chemistry, so NCA is cheaper in a cost, aluminum, because of the uses of the aluminum, and safety, if you see that it is a very unsafe battery chemistry, the thermal runaway temperature is just around 150 degrees centigrade, whereas in case it is 210 degrees centigrade, and it goes at around 300 degrees centigrade for the LFP. So that's why the different of the chemistries has their own specifications. You can know about in details in just a small I can talk about right now. So that's what the very of different of the chemistries has their different of the specifications, and for a particular of applications they are getting used. Like if you require the durability in your cell, so then it is the LTO chemistry could be a better one for you. Like for satellite applications or for military grade applications, the LTO chemistry could be used because the durability it has compared to the NMC and the LFP chemistry. Whereas if you require the more of a power, then the LFP chemistry would be suitable for you. If you require for the e-mobility applications where it is the energy also you require, then NMC is a better suitable for you. So these are the different of chemistries we can use for our applications, and the journey of any of the battery pack starts with that cell. So cells are they are made up of your cathode and anode. Then we have then they are getting stacked together and to make a complete of a battery pack. So this is a one battery pack that we can have, and for the safety of it, we have the BMS associated with it. Then if it is a large size battery pack, like for an example 400 volt battery pack, if I have to make, so then we have to make multiple of the battery modules, like 36 volt battery modules. 10 such modules could be made, and we can have the 360 volt. 11 such modules could be made, and we will be having around around of a 400 volts of a voltage. So that multiple of the battery modules could be added together to make a large battery pack. Thereafter, multiple such modules could be used for making a storage or a grid applications. So it is the journey of the battery pack starts from the cell. So behind of which there is a cell. And if we are able to ensure the safety and security of these cells, we will be able to give the safety to my complete of a battery pack. Because if there is a small of a problem that has occurred in your cell, that can lead to the catastrophic failure of your complete of a battery pack. And even if you are taking the cells from the very of the prominent sources, but still you have to ensure the cells should be there on the parameters, so cells should be safe on the parameter, so that even if it is in the use, the losses of the properties cannot lead to the failure of a cell, and that will be the failure case for your battery pack. So what it is, the important thing is that to ensure the safety of your battery pack, you have to ensure that the cells should be graded and it should be safe. If the cell is safe, then there is a almost negligible chance that the battery pack will go in a failure. The failure cases of due to the electronics is 1% only. It remains 99% failure cases is due to your cells. So cells are just like lithium-ion cells are just like human, I can say. They are working in a desired of a operating temperature, neither of a lower of a temperature and nor in a higher of a temperatures they can operate on. So the best of a operating range for your lithium-ion battery packs or lithium-ion cells are the room temperature level, I can say. And if the temperature is increasing, so that can lead to the degradation of the capacities. And even if the temperature is decreasing, so volatility of the ions are not there. So you will not be able to get the specific of capacity of your battery packs or the cell. So it is the just inverse of it. If the temperature is increasing, you are losing the life of your battery pack, and beyond a certain of a temperature, you will actually go in a fiery stage. So it starts. So the safety of okay, so the safety of your lithium ion, the failure of your lithium ion starts with the abuse case actually. Then the abuse case could be due to the various of the regions. Then it is the degradation of the material happens, and then finally battery goes into your thermal runaway stage. So it is a multi-stage failure occurs in once the battery is going to fail. And if you are able to prevent at the stage where it has not gone in a thermal runaway stage, or if the thermal runaway stage has started and still you have some mechanism to prevent the cell failure case, the game is winning for you. You will be able to safeguard your battery pack. So, and we have the battery management systems in our lithium ion battery packs. Always you will have electronics which can manage the charging, discharging, and the safe operating conditions of your lithium ion battery packs. So that thing is there, but still there are the certain of a cases where BMS also won't be able to do anything. If it has happened due to the temperature or the chemical process has started, the exothermic reactions have started. So BMS won't also be able to do anything. The best of the thing the BMS can do is to cut off the charging or discharging system from your battery pack. But if any of the chain reaction has started within your battery pack, then even if you have cut off the load, or even if you have cut off the charger from your battery pack, the prevention is very hard to be done. So that's why the BMS has a limitations. We should not think like this, that I have connected the BMS in my battery pack and now it is all safe. It can give you a certain amount of a safety, but still you have to take care of the operating conditions and the abuse conditions of your battery pack. That should not occur. So what are the different of the regions for the failure? It could be the physical failure. It could be the electrical failure, the electrical abuse, it can happen, or it could be the thermal abuse, it can happen. So the mechanical abuse is that you are going to put some kind of a mechanical stress on your cell. So accidents can happen to your e-mobility, your EV, or might be the battery pack has got under crush or anything, penetration has occurred. So that's the mechanical abuse is there, and deformation within your electrodes and the separator material leads to the separator tearing. And as I have told you that this thing can lead to the internal short circuit. In case of the electrical abuses, there are the two of the conditions. We are using the cells, and in case of uses, either I will be charging the cell or I will be discharging it. And in any of the case, if I'm doing over, whether I'm doing the over discharging or I'm doing the overcharging, because there are the particular of SOC levels that we have to maintain. And if I'm not maintaining that, if I am doing the higher C rates of a charging or higher C rates of a discharge, so that thing can lead to the electrical abuse conditions of my cell. And this electrical abuse conditions leads to the cell aging factor coming very fast. And that thing will lead to the internal short circuits because the cell aging will happen and the dendrite growths and the electrolytic interactions will be there on your electrodes, and that thing can lead to the piercing of your temperatures. So that will be the electrical abuse case. And then the thermal abuse case happens where by any of the means, either you don't have applied the thermal management mechanism in your battery pack, which you have developed. So either due to the ambient temperature conditions or due to the abused electrical uses of the battery pack, the internal cell temperature has risen. That thing has collapsed the separator. So in all of these cases, the internal short circuit happens and the cell goes into a thermal runaway stage. So what the gist is that any kind of abuse that you do, that will mostly lead to the internal short circuiting of the cells. And once this internal short circuiting happens, so that starts increasing the temperature within your cell, and the exothermic reaction starts there, because then the reactions are not in your control, because it is the organic materials are there. So then those reactions lead to the temperature rise within your cell, and the thermal runaway stage leads to the flaming and explosion of it. Then we have the oxygens, and inside that also the oxides, that the chemistry is there, and then it comes in the air oxygen contact, and the flaming of the cell starts. So this is the short circuiting is the common cause for the thermal runaway process, and the short circuiting could be prevented if we don't abuse it. So C rate has a very of an important factor into this. So the C rate should be maintained as per the data sheet and the chemistry of the cells. We should not be overcharging or over discharging. So thermal runaway is a very common thing that will happen in any of the case. So what this thermal runaway is that it can occur at any of the time, but when it is the internal heat, the battery internal heat generation exceeds the rate at which the heat can be expelled. So we have the cell, and by combination of these cells, you have made a battery pack. This is there inside a casing. By uses of the cells, the internal temperature within the cells will be rising anyhow. And if this temperature is rising, so if this temperature is not getting managed, the rate of exceeds of the rate of the generation of this temperature exceeds at which it is getting expelled. So this thing can lead to the further rise into the temperature, and a thermal runaway stage starts. So this will be changing. So actually it is getting changed, the state of your electrolytes from the liquid form to the gaseous form, and the exothermic reaction starts. Generally, it can occur to the higher of ambient temperatures, like your external temperature. If you have not applied the battery thermal management mechanisms, you are just dependent on the normal air cooling methods. No specialized, you have not done any calculations for your thermal management mechanisms. So maybe the ambient temperature is a higher from the battery pack, inside the battery pack temperature. So if this is a higher, so definitely the rate of expelling of heat will be lesser, and this thing can lead to the increment into the temperature due to that ambient temperature conditions. It might occur at the lower temperatures also, like if the cell is at a battery pack is at a lower temperature, your internal resistance is at a higher end, and then you do the higher C rate of a charging. You are doing the CCCV charge. Maybe your battery pack is at a 5 degrees centigrade, and so at that time the internal resistance is higher. And then you have just started the CCCV charging. So maybe 5 amperes of charges you have starting. So that will lead to the increment of the temperature within the cell. The cell internal temperature will increase due to the resistance. It is occurring due to the internal resistance. So that will also lead to the temperature increase within the internals of the cell. So don't take it granted that only at the higher temperatures or maybe in the sunny days only the thermal runaway condition can occur. Even it can occur at the lower of the temperatures if you are not managing about the different of the properties of the cell. So these things are to be considered over here. So and then it leads to the thermal runaway process where the separated tearing will happen. So if this is this gets teared off, the electrolytes are volatile. They are forming the gases. They are getting expelled as a gases. The separator gets torn off and these two electrodes come in a contact to each other. So definitely this will be in doing the internal short circuit. So some of the, you can see here the visuals for the cell. So this is right now it is on a left. So you can see it is a NMC single cell that is there in a heat chamber. So this is there in a thermal runaway stage, and it started with a smoke condition, and then the fiery conditions might have occurred inside it. So the smoke I have shown you. Same way here is. So this is a LFP cell on top. So it started with the smoke, you can see, and then the fire will also occur. So this is a LFP where the fire has also occurred, and this is also a LFP. But here only the smoke is there. So it is not like that I can say, but generally in case of an NMC, the condition occurs that after the gases passes, the smoke and the fire condition comes. But in case of the LFP, you can't always predict that whether it is the fire will occur or not. In cylindrical, mostly it is the leakage or the smoke that remains. But in case of the prismatic, the fire conditions also can occur. So this is the cell that was, and now you can see the battery modules. So this is the left is right now it is the NMC battery module it is, and due to the thermal runaway, temperature is there at a 212 degrees centigrade, and the fiery conditions could be there. So this is the different of the things that might occur inside of your vehicle or any of your storage applications. And in case of the LFP, that has occurred just at a 204 degrees centigrade only. So this is the cell surface temperature that is there. The cell internal temperature must be higher than this. So whether it is the cell or the battery pack, in both of the case, the thermal runaway can propagate. So it is not like that all the cells within your battery pack is in a peril. Maybe just one or two cell is there which is at a fault. The internal temperature has risen in those one or two cells, and if you have not done the battery pack design properly, if you don't have provided the heat insulations between the cells, so that thing can lead to the propagation of heat from one cell to another, and then such condition can occur. If you have designed the battery pack well, provided the proper of insulation methods, and have the methods for the thermal management, so then the thing could be zeroed in to one or two cell only, and we can safeguard our battery packs. So the thing is that you can't avoid such kind of a scenarios in your battery pack. It might happen any of the time, It is just the how good your QC process is. If your QC process is good, so you can avoid such kind of things the more and more times. But even if a small of a mistake you have made in your QC process, and this kind of a scenario can happen to your battery pack. So that's why we have to include in our design process of the battery pack also, that even if such kind of a QC loss has happened, or even a single cell has gone bad in my battery pack, so that should not propagate the heat to the next of it. So just think of that LG Chem cells are a very prominent one, but still there was a manufacturing problem into it, and that has propagated the heat, and the General Motors has to recall the lots of vehicle. The similar kind of thing has happened in the Boeing also. There was a Boeing failure. The Tesla vehicles have also such kind of a scenario. So it is not just the one or two brand I'm taking the name, or it is not the tarnishing of the brand names, but it is actually the scenario that can happen to any of you. And it is our design that is taking considerations of all these things. So if I see the stage by stage, so it is the first of it, the abuses that you do to your cell by any of the means, and until and unless the abuse is not done, it will be the such kind of scenarios doesn't happen. So you have to educate to your customers also for the proper uses of the lithium ion battery packs. So once this abuse happens, so it is the gas. So first it is the gas generations are there. So as the electrolytes are vaporizing, so that will lead to the generations of the gases. And then after the gas, the smoke generation process is there. And once you are able to detect that gases process, so if you have been able to detect the gas generation process, it is the golden time for you to for the preventions of the failure of the battery packs. Then it is the smoke generation process, and from the smoke it goes to the fire generation process finally. So we have a 4-stage process in the failure, and till off gas and something before start of the smoke process, we are in a preventive range. But if we have lost that opportunity, then it is in a complete of a failure, and we won't be able to safeguard the battery packs. Then only the design of your battery packs and the safety standards, the fire safety standards or fire safety measures, if you have given in your battery pack, only those things could be saving you, but not the any other electronics or anything. So what if, so I was talking that if we are able to detect this at the off gas stage, we can do the some kind of a safeguards. So off gas event detections could be done in the battery packs. So this is the conditions which I'm talking, that even your BMS has failed. The BMS is also not provided you support. In case of a general battery abuse case, the BMS should provide you the support, and the charging or discharging should be cut off. But the battery abuse has happened, like mechanical failure has happened, the mechanical abuse of your battery pack has happened, their BMS is not going to help you. In that case, the off gas stage will come definitely. And if we are able to detect this thing, off gas event, this is a little unconventional thing that I'm talking right now. In some of the battery packs, some of the countries specifically, and in some of the organizations, they have started doing the work on this, and there are certain of battery packs in productions also, but for a commonly this thing is little unconventional. So that's why this new thing for you, just have a point on this. So this is a off gas event detection if you do, and then you shut off the pack at the off gas release stage. So there we will be able to provide some kind of a safeguard, and then we can keep monitoring the smoke conditions for my battery pack so that the fire should not occur. But there is one of the issue in the off gases, that battery chemistry is constantly changing, and so it is very tough to zero in on the one gas only. So whatever the system that you are designing for the off gas detections, it should be capable to detect the blends of the gases, the organic gases, and at the lower of ppm levels. If we just talk the ppm levels which is present in the general environment, the gases inside the lithium ion cells, the ppm levels will be lesser. So that's why it should be the it should be able to detect the lower of ppms. Thereafter, at the different stages, the charging and discharging conditions, again, there are the different gases will be there. So that's why we have to be whatever the timer that we are designing, that should be adequate for all of these conditions are. So how this gases, so this is a video which I'm showing you that how this the stage 1 occurs. So this is a lithium ion cell that is, and it is getting abused. The overcharging is happening for it. And there, once the gases stage come, so just have a look and just see that at this stage, so there will be some sparkle you will see. So I'm just played the video, and you can see that little of a vibration has occurred in the cell, and some sparkling you can observe over here. Just the video is getting played again. How many of you have seen the sparkle over here in this region? Observed sparkle, anyone? Just observe it once more. I'm playing in this tune. Just observe the sparkle. Is it visible? Okay. So Hers has observed it. Good. So this is the gases. This is the off-gas event actually. So this gases event you have to detect in case of your safety system which you are making for the off-gas event detection. And once this off-gas event is there, then it is the smoke and the fiery conditions are coming. So after this off-gas, it is the, so just see the storage factory condition. So this is a smoke is and after the smoke, then the fires, and then it is the that is a Chinese factory. So this is the condition of that factory was after this thing has happened. So it is not only the battery pack, but complete of your infrastructure can go in a peril if such kind of scenarios has happened. So this is the gas is one of the event. This off-gas detection is one of the event which you can use for the preventions of the thermal runaway stays from the thermal runaway stays. So if you are able to detect this off-gas event and can shut off your battery pack, then even if the BMS has not provided you the safety, this off-gas event detector can provide you that level, and a battery pack failure could be saved. So just for a figure, in a one just from the one thermal runaway stage of just one cell, it is the 41 liters of gases are emitted on an average. And just for a small analysis, there are the lots other gases are just the prominent gases which I have listed over here. So it is the carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, hydrogen, all such gases are emitted during the thermal runaway of the NMC, whereas same is there for the LFP also, because the lithiums are there in the same, but the different of the capacities, as you can see, and the different of the volumes are there. But so whatever the system that you are designing, that should be having the capacities for the making the distinguish for making the distinguished analysis between the different cell chemistries. And as per that, the off-gas events could be detected and could be worked on. So off-gas event detectors could be included in your battery packs, maybe if it is a portable battery pack, a big portable battery pack. And if it is a storage battery packs that you are making, then in your battery room, you can have such kind of a device which can sense the different of the racks of the lithium ion batteries and can provide you the off-gas analysis and the safety. So, so this is a one thing that the mitigation that we can have in case of the battery failure by the off-gas event detections. So the different of the gases that we have, and once this once this gas detection is being sensed, so the cutoff could be happened, like the charging was done at 50 degrees centigrade for this 63 Ah of a pouch cell. So it is having the emissions of the carbon monoxide, the methane, ethane, and ethylene. So this is the different of the volumes of the gases are present and got emitted during the charging, means the abuse was happened during the charging, and at the different of the time, these amount of the gases are getting emitted. So once this thing is sensed at a level beyond a particular of a threshold, so the timer signal, this is the lithium ion timer, is that particular thing which I'm talking for the off-gas event detections. So that signal could be started, and it has cut off the battery pack from the particular of charging or discharging systems. So the thermal runaway could be avoided at this stage, and the surface temperature could be lowered to up to 45. So 45 degrees centigrade is quite common for the battery packs, but if it is beyond like 50 degrees, 60 degrees centigrade, so then it will be the dangerous for the internals, cell internals. So this timer can be helpful for me. So if one of us is thinking that I can compare to the off gas, because gas detection is quite complex process. So if I'm able to do the smoke detection, so can I save the battery packs? So definitely not, because you can see this analysis has been there from this DNVGL. This is a company who has done this analysis, which I'm sharing to you. So this event detection of the off gas is done at this stage. And this was for this 63 Ah pouch cell. This data is there. And after 11.6 minutes of this, the smoke was emitted. So this is the time actually, which was a golden time for me. If at this stage, if the timer detects this, and if the timer generates the signal for the disconnections of the charging or discharging system from the battery pack, the temperature could be lowered down, because here once the off gas event has started, so it means the thermal runaway process has started for you, and temperature is increasing. As you can see, the cell surface temperature is increasing constantly. And if I have not put any kind of timer signal onto this, if I have not even after detection of the off gas events, I have not taken any kind of a mitigation stage, so the further the smoke will come, and at this time the cell surface temperature will rise drastically, from where you can't revert back the things. So this is the time where which is in hand for you, that if you are applying any kind of a safety or preventive mechanisms within this time, so the battery can prevent it from going into a complete of a thermal runaway stage. The third stage could not be coming, and the things can be disconnected, and further the cell temperature, surface temperature could be lowered. So that's why the smoke detectors are not a good thing for the safety aspects, but these off-gas detectors are. So this is the heating case I'm talking about. So this thing is related to the heating, if the heating of the cell has happened, and if it is the overcharging you are doing. So in case of a overcharging that is happening of the lower of the temperatures, not at the higher. So in this case, the cell surface temperature won't rise faster, but it is the internal temperatures that will be rising. drastically, and that thing can lead to the thermal runaway stage. So here you can see that again the gases formations are happening at the lower of the temperatures, because maybe the cell property is not supporting the higher C rates of the charging and it is getting charged. So then the timer signal can operate on over at this threshold level, and the charging system could be cut off. So this battery pack can go in a stabilize of a stage. So the gist is that we can have a off gas detection system which can provide such kind of feature for us, so that in case of the overheating or overcharging, during the overheating or overcharging, the off gas events could be detected, and we can prevent the batteries to go in a third stage of the thermal runaway, because from the third stage it is not in your hand, the control, because then the smoke, once the smoke has started. So that's what's related to the technicalities of it. Apart from that, related to the usage conditions and during the manufacturing, there are the certain of precautions which you can take. It is related to the thermal management method uses for your battery pack. So this is the I square R is the generic formula which we use. So the higher the current discharge that you will be doing from your cell, the temperature, the heat effect will be the 4 times of it. So the square of it. So if it is the 2C rate, so and it is the 1C rate. So at whatever you are doing at a 1C rate of a discharge, whatever the heat that you have at a 1C rate, it will be just going 4 times of it once you are doing the 2C rate of a discharge. So you have to have an adequate of a method of the thermal management in your battery pack when it is the higher C rate of discharge, if your battery pack is supporting. So generally, in case of a 2-wheelers or 3-wheelers battery pack, which we see that it is dependent on the normal air cooling method, or at most of a convection, the air convection methods, but it is not remain suitable. We have to look at the other management methods also, suitable methods, so you can know more about it. The C rate management. So each of the cell that you are using should be of the same of the chemistries, and it has a particular of a C rate for the charging and discharging. So even if the customer is demanding for the fast charging or maybe higher C rate of a discharge for the power batteries, but if it is not supporting, so you should not allow from your battery packs to do that, because the first it will lead to the degradation and then the thermal runaway stage. The cell grading, that's a very important factor, is that once you purchase the cell, it is the grading is a very important one. Whatever any of the good, even the topmost of the cell manufacturing firm I'm talking about, whatever the cell they are manufacturing, around 10% is the average industry rate the cells are degraded. Means the 90% the A grade cell that they are producing, and 10% there is a degradation in the things happen. This is due to the manufacturing line, it happens. But you will not see, if you take the fresh cell, this 90% cell and this 10% degraded, if you take a fresh cell and just do the 1 or 2 cycles of the charging and discharging, you will not be able to see the difference in it, until and unless manufacturer has not categorized the gradings of the cell, or you have not done a 200, 300 life cycles test of the cell, you will not be able to grade about the cell. So whatever in case of Indian context, if I'm talking about, so due to the price point, there is a lots of competition is there in the cell battery pack manufacturers. And unfortunately, we are importing most of the B grade cells. So in the very beginning, it seems good performing, but just after a year, maybe the cell quality degrades, and that the safety aspect is a problem for it. So you have to ensure that the grading should be A grade for your e-mobility applications specifically. B grade could be used for your secondary applications like storage and solar applications. So for that thing, you have to do the testings at your end also for the cell grading, and have to be directly in the touch of the factory first, and then do the cell gradings at your end. Because even if whatever you are taking, maybe any of the cell is just passed from the QC of the manufacturer, and that thing can go in your battery pack and can do the blunders. So grading is a very important one. C grade even, and then it is the internal resistance also you need to consider that whatever the internal resistance that you are taking for the particular applications, it should be like if it is for the e-mobility applications, prismatic cells, it should be less than 10 milliohms of a range. The power applications, it would be around 30 milliohms of a range. So these are the different ranges, industry standard ranges are, but whatever the cell you are using, you should be first testing it during the cell sorting process. You should be testing about the internal resistance, voltage, capacity, all the things, and only the same nature of the cell that you should be using in your battery pack. You should not be doing any of the time that just you have purchased the cell from the battery pack manufacturer, the cell pack manufacturer, and just done the spot welding or laser welding of your battery pack and completed. First, the complete of the QC process of the cell you should be doing, and only then you should go for the battery pack making. The balancing is again a very important factor, because what happens that mostly the passive balancing thing is used in the battery packs. So the axis of if the 3 packs are there of a different capacities, it has got charged due to the fadings. So maybe this cell had got charged a little extra. So the weakest link rule prevails and this cell will be discharged. So whatever this will be discharged due to for the balancing, so this will get extracted in a heat form. So the discharging will be there and it will get extracted in a heat form. So this, if the higher the discharge will happen from your cell for the balancing purpose, so the more of a heat will be generated. That is again an issue for you. And secondly, if the proper of a balancing is not there in your cells, so that lead to the capacity fade of the battery pack and further the life of the battery packs. The heat management of your electronics also needs to be done, the BMS or other of the electronics which you are using. The IoT enabled data monitoring method enables you to note about the behaviors of your user, that whether any kind of abuse he is doing to your battery packs or not. If he is doing any kind of abuse, like electrical abuse specifically, so you can just take the preventive measures for that particular battery pack and can let know to the user that you should under these conditions, otherwise it will be a bad for your thing. So the IoT enabled data monitoring method will give you the most of the safety for your battery packs. The heat insulator pads should be used within the cells. So in case of the cylindrical cells, like we have a small of a room between the 2 of the cells due to the construction of it. But if it is the prismatic, so just side by side the cells are there. So propagation becomes easy from one cell to another, the heat propagation. So heat insulators should be there between 2 prismatic cells or between 2 pouch cells. And whatever the casings that you are using, that should be, if it is of a metal, that would be a best one. But as per the chemistry, capacity, and the temperature conditions in which it will be used, we should select the casings, either of a metal case or an aluminum case, which you are selecting. There is no of a particular guidelines, or I can say the standards specified for the fire safety, but yes, there is there are the 2 actually. One is a UL standard and second is this NFPA. This is from USA. So this is the rating which is there on the battery packs, which tells about that how safe your battery pack is against of the different conditions, like for the fire hazard conditions, for the health hazard conditions, for the stability of the packs, and the specific of hazards, the chemical thing. So this is a diamond is there, and the values, these are the different of indicators of it, and as per that the values could be written over here. And this diamond is necessary if you are working for the USA domains, the USA, Canada domains, the battery packs you are exporting. So you have to give this NFPA diamond on your battery packs to let know that what are the consequences or what are the hazards that your battery pack has. Apart from that, we have the UL standards for the battery packs, then UN DOT standards for the transportations, then we have the storage safety standards. So there are the different of the standards, but there is no one particular standard here which tells you that you have to use these battery packs in this safe operating range. The policies are still evolving, so that's why there is still a requirement for the regional safety standards related to the fire and these thermal runaway safety standards. Whatever the standards are there, that is related to the majorly for the battery performance and the EV safety and performance, not for the battery pack specific fire safety standards. So this is the diamond that we should be incorporating in our designs also, so that it will be usable for the users, so that you can let know to the users that how safe your battery packs are and in which of the conditions it should be operable. So these are the safety aspects for my battery package which we can use. And then I was talking about that the security aspect. So the batteries are getting used in many of the connected applications, not only for the vehicle, but also for the majority of storage applications. And if it is the design of the modules are poor, so that can lead to the fire hazard, as I have seen. And secondly, the batteries are also now going in the public charging stations and the public swapping stations. So there, these authentications are very required one. That thing is not only for the brand reputations, but also for the counterfeits of the and the profit protections of the battery swapping ecosystems. So battery authentication is a must one in nowadays, so that you can not only provide the safety, but also can work on your revenue. So BMS is the thing which takes part into this thing for providing the safety of your battery packs. And secondly, once all these batteries are getting connected on the networked environment, so BMS has to gather the data from the battery pack, and it will be there in the communication. So whatever the BMS that is using, that is a IoT enabled BMS. So it is a gateway for your battery pack for the cloud communication. And the BMS should have this features of a secure boot, transport layer of a security provisions, the authentications, and the specific of X.509 certifications. The crypto authentication tools are now a very common one, for which this TA100 is a one jack that has been provided by Microchip for implementations of the crypto element in your BMS, which will provide you all these features for your battery pack for the secure boot and the firmware updates and the TLS layer and the hardware layer security. And it has now these crypto elements has now these X.509 certifications also. So in our BMS, actually, we have to implement the IoT security mechanisms so that it could be authenticated and the secure architecture remains. So for this purpose, we have these cryptography elements and the crypto elements. Those crypto elements as the hardware, and cryptography algorithms are working on it, which provides the safety for it. So if we have the multiple of battery modules, on each of the battery module, the BMS is there, and in which this TA100 module could be attached one as the crypto module. And the retrofitting of the TA100 module I'm introducing over here. So in your existing of the BMS architecture, it could be implemented as a separate of a IoT enabled crypto element, and that thing can provide the a secure architecture for your battery management system. So if this crypto element is there, so whatever the authentications, the private keys and the public keys of your network will be stored inside this crypto element, which is on the TA100 jack, and then the secure authentications can happen for your battery pack. So this is how the certificates are generated. So from the OEM, the root certificates are there. Then this root certificate goes to the manufacturing on top of the root certificate, it has to be signed by the X.509 certification authority and the manufacturer certificate. So this is the root certificate for your crypto element. And on top of that, this is the crypto element your company is using. So there this manufacturer certificate is applied. That is also signed by X.509 certificate authority. And then on top of that, this product certification is required. So whenever you pass the purchase order to the, so this is up to this level, the manufacturer certifications are there. Now you are a user. So user of that battery pack, or you are a vehicle integrator. So you have passed the purchase order to this manufacturer for the battery packs. So you will have your own certificates also. So on the manufacturer certification, your certification will be added, and that's a complete product certification becomes. So this product at this level, we have the your certifications, the manufacturer certifications, and the root certifications of the OEM of the cell. So these three certificates are the cell OEM certifications, the battery pack manufacturer certifications, and the user certification. All these three are got added, and then it is stamped onto the crypto element. Like one solution which I'm talking, the crypto element is from the microchip. So on that it is getting added, and then these secure elements are produced, which can be there in your battery pack. So such kind of a chain structure that we require now for my BMS also, so that the authentication we can provide in my BMS, and the battery authentication can happen. So these are the security aspects now it will be required. So that was it, the session today. So hope you found it useful, the different of aspects which I have talked today. And now I'm ready for the questions. So these are our contact emails and the WhatsApp you must have. If any of the time you require any kind of a help, so you can always contact us on this. We have the detailed training programs also. So right now many of students are also joined today. So the training programs there, if you want to know more about the lithium ion packs, and if you are going to start the business of the lithium ions, and want to know detail about all these aspects. So we have a 6-week initial program for the lithium ion battery pack design, modeling, and safety. And in this, we give you the knowledge on the BMS and BTMS also. So this is the content for it. We start with the cell technology, then we lead you to the manufacturing aspects and the properties of the cells, the internal resistance, and thereafter the battery pack calculations aspect, particular of applications. So what are the how do you do the calculations for the battery pack, the cell welding methods, what are the precautions that you take. Then we talk about the safety standards and how you can provide the safety to your battery packs, the certifications you require. Then we have talk on the recycling and reuse of the cells, the battery packs, the lithium ions. Then it is the smart lithium ion batteries, like the enablement of IoT and something. Then it is the tools and technology for your, if you're going to start the plant, lithium ion battery pack plant. So what are the tools and technologies you require initially? So those things are discussed. And then in BTMS, we have the discussions on the selections and architecture for the BMS and the thermal management systems for your, like, how do you calculate the different of things for your battery pack thermal management, and the different of use cases are there. So for a particular applications, how the thermal management, what are the different thermal management methods, and what are the selections that you make. So this is a live online program, 6-week live online program. So if you are interested to know about this more, so we can send you the details. The batches keep going on to start. So I'm just pasting a link over here for the inquiry of the program. So if anyone wants to know more about the lithium ion battery packs, want to know about the details, so it is the link. You need to fill up the form and know the details. This is a